Introduce Dr. Usha Mantha. Oh.
So, good afternoon, all of you, and I hope you won't fall asleep with the lovely lunch we had. And he was amazing. Manny, thank you so much for bringing him out. He touched us all. So, as he said, I'm Usha Mantha, MD, and what am I doing here is I'm actually now in business of making you healthy from inside, coming back to the weight loss, and beautiful from outside. So just a quick background about me. I am actually much older than I look like. I have been in training and in practice for 30 years. I went to England a long time ago, 30 years ago, and while in medical school, I really didn't want to do OBGYN, but I gave birth to my first child and I totally fell in love with obstetrics. I totally fell in love with women because even if I was not actually a doctor, women thought I was because I was very tall. And they would ask me difficult questions when I didn't even start my residency yet. Had no idea what I was doing. So I fell in love for the trust women put into me. And I decided I'm going to become an OBGYN. So I trained very hard for 10 years in England. And then subsequently I moved to US. I trained again in family medicine on the East Coast. And continue to love women's health and the primary care. But so happened, I actually have been through my own, parts of my life changed after my first husband passed away, and I was a young widow, and I brought my kids up myself. So life was changing rapidly, and I was adapting to it. And then I did family medicine. I was practicing. After practicing for last 20-25 years, and I do see women a lot. I actually take care of women all the time. But one of my very dear friend and a patient of mine one day walked into my office. She was really crying and really distraught. She's like, Dr. Mantha, you've been my doctor. You keep telling me to lose weight and I will look beautiful. And I said, what happened? And she said, she was about 50 years old, and her 25-year-old married husband actually left for someone that he thought was prettier. So my friend was questioning me, how can you not make me beautiful from outside? So this is what happened, and this is what I realized, that I have been doing so much to make women empowered from inside, which I totally agree with every single one of you, because you all agree that we can't judge a book by its cover. However, if the cover is attractive, cover is actually eye-catching, you will open the book and read and maybe learn something. So it's not for us to write it off completely. Beauty is similarly more than skin deep. And I am a physician, so who better can advocate inner health than me? And I'm also a weight loss expert because I have my boards in obesity medicine. So I was already doing that. I was making my patients healthy from inside. But what occurred to me, that until and unless women looked presentable, beautiful from outside, it was not really doing the job. It wasn't actually doing the job. Men, women equally are judging us by how we look. And whether we like it, we don't like it, but that is the reality. If you go to Nordstrom, if you go to Macy's, if you go to JCPenney, their business for the front, when you enter the store, does about somewhere 100 times more than the rest of the whole store, okay? Lotions, potions, makeup, everything. So when this is the reality, then we have to somehow embrace it in our lives. Should we all become like Kardashians? Absolutely not. So what I decided that with my expertise in women's health, in weight loss expertise, I should now be offering women to be beautiful from outside. And that's how I created my med spa. It's called Verve. weight loss and laser aesthetics, and that's where I come in, because now I do believe that women have to also do something to enhance their outer beauty. They do not need to become a version of Angelina Jolie. However, they can be the better version of themselves. And in fact, my sons, who are like as tall as I am, they have a joke. I have 4 boys between me and my current husband. So they all have a running joke. They are like, oh, we have to go to dinner with mom, we better dress up. I'm like, no, it's not dressing up. It's just dressing up to go with mom. Because as you know, most of you have kids and they will show up in their shabbiest thing. Right. And I'm like, is this what I'm paying for? Like they will come up with something like, mom, what's wrong with this? Like everything is wrong with it. If you come with mom, you have to dress up. Maybe partly this is coming from me actually, staying in England too long, whichever way it is, they will all talk about, oh, we have to go out with mom. If it was dad, doesn't matter. They'll show up in their pajamas. But if it's mom, so now I realize that it's not just women have to look beautiful from outside, men have equal responsibility to look good. Absolutely. So now my motto is, of course women have to look beautiful, but men have to equally look beautiful. And it just doesn't stop there. Everything we do has to look eye-catching. Everything around us, because everybody loves nice things, correct? We are all upping ourselves, whether we agree with it or we don't agree with it. When I was born, I was number 4 daughter, really dark looking, and in India, you know how like crazy we are about fair skin. Oh my God, okay? So I was number 4 daughter, really dark and plumpy, and my aunt walked into the hospital room and said, another daughter? She walked right out because she was so disappointed with my parents. But my father was an engineer, and we are 5 sisters, and he loved each one of us. He was so strong. He's like, don't listen to my sister. And we do have a brother. Then she was all happy, but that's the culture I come from. So I was happy by myself. I was like this from the get-go. My mother would put a string around my neck and I would make it into a necklace. I went to England very early in my age. I had many of the struggles. Came to United States. I lost my husband at a very young age. But I kept upping myself. And now I think there is nothing wrong. There is nothing wrong with this concept. So as much as we want to be authentic, as much as we want to keep to our roots, but I do recommend that we do up ourselves. That is the only thing that makes us go forward. That's why we all are here, aren't we? Yes? Yes. So coming from us as a physician, as a professional, as a person who just wakes up at 6 o'clock and works till 11 o'clock till night, we all are trying to up ourselves. And this year particularly, when my kids have actually grown and gone out, I decided that I want to come out and speak to all of you women. And that's why I say, okay, so I also, on my professional side, I would like to say that I am board certified in family medicine. I'm board certified in obesity medicine. And I have done 10 years of hardcore obstetrics, and I teach obstetrics to residents in residency programs. And I love doing that. I think teaching and learning, and that's how Manny has gotten me, because I am here to learn and teach. And not so much to do with medicine, because I already do medicine, but to learn everything else. And I would love to come out and talk to young girls. I do talk to pageants, because when they are entering, these competitions, and thank God now the society has changed and we have many shapes and forms and talls, and otherwise they were all size 8 or size 6 and like 5'11" tall. Now we have many pageants, many shapes and forms. So I go and talk to women. So they do ask me, how do I do it? Because I am one of those who has done it all, literally done a lot in my life. And so now I would like to come out and talk to women, empower them. The word empower is a little bit, whether you want to use it, because as women, we are already powered.
Yeah, we are. Mm-hmm.
And one of our film stars, and the other thing about Indian women, and we are very crazy about our film star. Bollywood runs our lives, morning till evening. If our heroes are all on the big screen, So Bollywood rules, right? And we have grown up like that. We are doing the same thing even here, and I think we'll do it in our old age. One of the film stars was very correct. She said, talk about women empowerment. There is nothing to empower a woman. Try and snatch a baby from a mother's arm. That is woman empowerment. The baby, the day we were pregnant, the day we had the babies born, we were already empowered. We were done, we are ready, right? You have never told anybody that this is me. When my kids were younger, I am his mom, his mom. That's all my identity was. I've done about 25 exams in my life, but I still introduce myself, this is my son and I'm his mother, right? So there's nothing to empower more, we are already empowered. But I agree with each one of you, and today I've heard such an amazing, amazing speaker lineup. Manny, you are a star. You are such a big star. Because all these women, like every time I hear somebody, they are even more than better than before one. So it just gets better and better. So that's what I'm here for, to share what I bring and to learn from you all, and whatever I can do, I am here to help.
Awesome. Okay, so before you leave, I'm gonna ask a couple questions. I think we still have a couple more minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, so now before I get started on these questions, I want to make sure you guys have a chance to text in to stay connected to both Usha and Jose. We forgot to do Jose's. I totally missed on that one. So for Dr. Usha, you're just going to text in the word Usha, her first name, U-S-H-A. Okay, U-S-H-A, and you guys will get instantly connected. Maybe you can have her speak at some of your events. Maybe you have a women's group that you guys can bring her to. Maybe you just have some questions that you need a doctor's advice on, right? So it's definitely stay connected. Keep her in your Rolodex. And for Mexiquito, you want to stay connected to Jose. Maybe have him cater some of your events. He does private parties. I had him literally for New Year's Eve at my house to just make us food for our family and our friends that were there. So he does some really fun stuff. Obviously makes some great food, and he's got an amazing story. This guy's going to be a motivational speaker. He doesn't even know it yet. And so we're going to be working with him, and he just doesn't know it yet. So at the end of the day, to connect with Jose, you're just going to text in Mexiquito, M-E-X-I, Quito, K-E-T-O. So like Mexiquito. All right. So get those in. If you guys have any questions, let me know on how those work. But let's get back to Dr. Usha Mantha. So you're really focused on empowering women. Well, not really empowering, they're already empowered. You're getting them to recognize that empowerment. Now, ideally, what's one of the big challenges that you come across when dealing with women in your type of business, in your line of business?
So I think women by nature, and I think that's how God made us, we have lots of hats we wear. We emotional, we work ourselves with emotions. And I think that is the biggest challenge I have. I was a young, yuppie person before my husband got diagnosed with lung cancer, and I was I'm thinking about having kids, having a big car, driving them to school, taking part-time job. But the very day that he was diagnosed, I really changed my mentality. I decided I'm going to be a mother and a father, and I'm going to now think like men do, because men think differently than women. And we have to learn to think like men do. We don't have to become men, but men are very focused, and we, with our emotions, are very scattered. And then we wonder why we didn't get what we needed. Because we are very not scattered, but we have too much we do. But that's who it defines us. However, we take pride in the beginning, but then we get old, and then we get tired and fatigued. So I would suggest the challenge is we need to think like men do. That's what my challenge is.
Think like men do.
Yes.
Interesting. Now, ideally, what would you say is something that stops a lot of women from taking action outside of double second guessing things and things like that?
I think responsibilities.
Responsibility.
Yes, and
this
finances.
is actually very interesting, because my wife, on one hand, she has her business she's just now starting to establish and get launched out there, but she literally does not want to put a minute into it that's outside of mommy duties. Like, she's got her responsibilities, and she's like, these come first before everything else. And that's kind of really hindered her from where I think she should be today. How do you talk to that?
So here's the thing. I think women, especially those of us women who want everything, right? So we want a balance, work and family balance. And I think for women, it's the toughest challenge. Yeah. But my thinking and my observation over 30 years is this. So when I have a patient sitting in front of me and she asks me this question, and I see them, then this is what I suggest. By the time we get to 40 years of age, okay, 40 for women, either there is one group of women who've had their kids really early because of any reason. They had them at 15, not 17, 18, 20, 21, and their kids are grown up. They have to get back into a work, sort of environment. So they have a different challenge in comparison to the women who are until 40, they postpone their childbearing and childrearing. Either they don't have children or family, or they have very little in children and family. But both these women groups will get equal by the time they come to 50 or 52 years of age. They both will catch up with each other. It will happen. So I usually counsel them and I explain to them that if you already are in the first category and have little children, because children do grow up, they are not going to stay the same. And if we don't talk to our children, somebody else will. And the moment somebody else talks to them, you lost your battle right there. My best of my friends are like, what did we do wrong? Why our kids are not listening? But the kids are like 20 plus years old. When my son became 13 years old, I kept praying God that I'm done talking to him because he wasn't available after 14, 15 years of age. He was doing so many things. I was so busy earning because I had to pay the bills. It was just, we didn't have time. So this is why I think what your wife is doing, of course she would like a business on the side, but her responsibility lies with her children first, right? So she's taking care of that. What she would require is help on her side where she's doing her career thing, because that keeps her happy. And remember, we all said this, you have to put your mask on first. I do recommend women taking time, even one day. Those days are gone when we waited for 30 years and then started saying, oh, for 30 years I've done this for my husband and my children. Because after 30 years, nobody's listening, neither children nor husband. We don't need to wait. If you wait, they don't know. Half of the time, men even don't know the wife is waiting. They don't. Because we made ourselves. So I'm glad your wife is taking this step. This side business will keep her happy. She will be happier when she sees you. She'll be happier when she sees her kids. You may have to responsibly help her, but I think this work-life balance will make her go long way. Long way. I had to do it because of my circumstances, but before my husband was sick, I wasn't going to do that. I didn't even think about it. But once he became sick and I was a single parent, I instantly changed my attitude. My kids grew up on new life insurance. And any of you, I don't think this is on a side, I don't even own any businesses, but life insurance is what brought my kids up. Wow. Okay? So when they grew up, by the time they're 19 years old, they all have life insurances. For whatever reason. I don't care. I'm just buying them. What I'm saying is that having a career on the side will make her a better person. She'll think more broadly and she'll be so much more successful as a mother also. Because these kids are watching us. And they need inspiration from just you and your wife. They first see their parents, and our cook, our chef was talking about bad mouthing. You know how impactful that is when you grow up in a household where everybody's swearing. I used to do smoking cessation in the 4th grade. The kids used to walk up to me and say, "My mom hides in the closet and smokes. What shall I do?" They are so impressionable. We have to be very careful. So my suggestion is she keeps trying to do that on the side. She may not see 1000% success on her career side, but by the time these kids grow up, she will be. She will have something to look at. So I think it's a great thing to do. It's hard, it's not easy, but it's something that one should look into.
Good stuff. Awesome. Let's give it up for Dr. Usha Mantha, MD. Yes.
So remember all of you, be you and be beautiful.
Yeah. I got it. She smells so good.